Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I am really excited for today's video because it is going to be a collab with my friend Sally here on YouTube. I will have Sally's channel linked up in my cards as well as my description box down below, as well as her version of this video. Today we were talking about 10 disappointing makeup products. Sally reached out to me, I think, gosh, it was almost 2 months ago, asking if I would be interested in doing a collab. She is actually a medical student and has been really busy with school, but we are finally posting our collab video on 10 disappointing makeup products. I thought that this was such a fun idea just because I personally love hearing about disappointing makeup products. I love to watch disappointing makeup products videos, and I love to make them as well because nobody needs to go wasting their money on crappy makeup. If you have not yet checked out Sally's channel, I definitely recommend that you do. Like I said, she is super smart. She's currently in med school. She's beautiful and she is just so high energy and so much fun. She does unboxings on her channel. She's doing her own version of a low buy this year. She's also doing the Pandas eyeshadows project. She's doing a year-long project, and I just personally love her channel. She also gets really real on her channel too and does some pretty serious tea talks where she just sips tea and chit-chat, which I also really love. I know no matter what Sally posts, I'm gonna love her video. So definitely head on over to Sally's channel and check her out. And if you are coming from Sally's channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. I did just recently move, so I'm still trying to figure out my new filming space as well as just get my life together in general. So bear with me on that. But if you guys are interested in hearing about 10 makeup products that just did not work out for me for one reason or another, then stay tuned. First, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you'll consider doing so before you go. And other than that, let's just jump into the video. Okay, you're also gonna have to forgive me for my hair this morning. I truly don't know what is going on. Okay, so I have 10 makeup products, and I hope I have not talked about these in any previous disappointing makeup product videos. I tried to go back and watch any disappointing product videos that I had filmed in the past just to make sure I wasn't like double dipping, and I don't think that I am. So we're just going to jump into, I have one primer. Maybe I'll try and go on like application of makeup. So I have one primer to talk about. And I'm just gonna give the standard disclaimer that everyone has to give, I swear, in their disappointing product videos. A product that doesn't work for me may be your favorite product. I know that there has been many times I've watched a disappointing makeup product video and someone's talked poorly about a product that I personally love. So this is not meant to offend anyone. It's just meant to let you know why a certain product did not work for me and maybe save you some money, or maybe for the reasons it doesn't work for me, you think it'll be the perfect product for you. So just had to give the disclaimer. So for this primer, this is the Origins Original Skin Pore Perfecting Cooling Primer with Willow Herb. So I first heard Steph Nicole rave about this a couple of years ago, and I swear she always recommends this in her like Sephora VIB sale recommendations guide. And then Samantha Ravindall also recommended it in a video like I think towards the end of 2019. And so I knew it was going to be the perfect product for me, right? Wrong. This isn't a horrible product. It's just, so it's in an aerosol can and you squirt it onto your hand or your face, whatever, and then you rub it in. It's just like a meh product, and I have heard that this one does go bad relatively quickly for a primer, and I have a large primer collection, so I just am concerned that I might not make it through this. This does have a nice cooling sensation to the face, but I just feel like I don't notice too much of a difference in like the longevity of my makeup wear when I wear this. And this was also a relatively expensive product, coming in at over $30. I want to say this was like $34. So I was pretty bummed that this one didn't work for me. Next up, I have two foundations. One is pretty new to my collection, but this is a total bust for me. This is the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Skin Milk foundation, the newest foundation to the CoverGirl line. This is just too dewy for me. I've seen people have allergic reactions to this foundation, which I personally have not had, but this is just very light coverage and very dewy, so it sinks into like all of my fine lines and barely gives me any coverage. So it's just like, why would I go through the trouble of wearing a foundation that's going to sink into my fine lines and then also not give me barely any coverage at all? Like, it's really just making me look uglier, in my opinion. I have used this as a mixing agent with some foundations that are either too full coverage, too matte. I'll get to a foundation here in a second that I mix this with to try and make it work, but this is definitely not something that I would repurchase, and I really wouldn't recommend This one, I truly can't think of someone I would recommend this to other than maybe someone who's like 14 and has perfect skin. But at that point, like, why are you even wearing foundation? You probably don't need to. So this would be a skip for me, which is a really big bummer because I used to be a huge fan of the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir, which they discontinued, and then they released this. So I wish they would have just held on to the CoverGirl Vitalist Healthy Elixir foundation because that is a personal fave of mine. This one, not so much. Which brings me to my second foundation, which is the Wander Beauty Nude Illusion foundation. I thought this was also going to become a favorite foundation of mine. Kathleen Lights raves about this, Samantha March raves about this, and usually I love both of their recommendations. Usually a lot of what works for them also works for me. I was under the impression this was going to be like light to medium coverage and just be more like natural, leaning like maybe a touch dewy, but for me, this comes across more matte than anything, and it's definitely more full coverage than I typically prefer. Maybe I'm just applying too much. So this does have the doe foot applicator, which is also not a favorite way to apply for me. And I find that this dries down really quickly, so I have to work in sides of my face. The way that I like this best applied is mixed with something. I've been mixing it with that CoverGirl foundation, and I like to apply it with a brush and then go over it with a beauty sponge. However, I wore this to work 2 days because I thought maybe the first day was a fluke, and I did like super intense skincare the next day because this just looked dry and cracky and disgusting on my skin. And then I did it the second day and it looked the exact same. So I don't know what's going on with this because I wore this last week while moving and this lasted all day and looked great. But that was the only time that I ever really liked this foundation. Every other time I feel like it makes me look older, kind of makes me look a little bit aged. This is currently going in my whole collection project pan and I'm trying to finish it, but I recently talked about this product in a video called Unexpected Makeup Failures because like I said, I thought this was going to become a new favorite foundation just based on what both Kathleen Lights and Samantha March had to say about it and my personal preferences. But unfortunately, this just did not work for me. I do feel like there's plenty of people out there that this would work for and that do like this. I unfortunately just am not one of those people. Okay, next up is a powder, and this is very new to my collection. Like, I purchased this in February, but I can already tell this is a fail. And I've heard people say that this wasn't like their favorite powder, but I've also heard people say that it works really well as an under eye setting powder. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot. This is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter powder, and I have mine in the lavender shade, which is supposed to be very brightening for underneath the eyes, and it is very brightening underneath the eyes. Like almost too brightening, even at my palest, in my personal opinion. It's not my favorite, and then on top of that, it just looks very, very heavy underneath my eyes personally. A part of me wants to return this, but a part of me is also just probably too lazy to do that. But I also don't want to let it sit in my collection. It looks very heavy underneath the skin or underneath the eyes, and for a lavender powder, it's not something that I'm going to be able to use all over the face. So if you have more oily skin, I feel like this would probably work really well for you, but with me and my dry skin and my dry under eyes, it looks like a crepey hot mess. Next up, I have a bronzer that I again was expecting to love, and I just did not love it. This is the Lawless bronzer. So I got this, I think, around like last August, and I really do like Lawless as a brand. I'm self-tanned right now, so you probably won't even really be able to see this swatched. But when I'm at like my normal skin color, or like even in the summer when I was like a little bit more tan, like not quite as tan as I am right now, but a little bit more tan, this just pulls a really weird shade on my skin. Right here, it looks like it would be a beautiful, almost like contour shade, but I just did not like the way that this looked on my skin. I also felt like it was a little bit skippy when I blended it, which seems like it wouldn't be because when you swatch it, it is like really buttery and really soft, but I just didn't like the way that this blended out on my skin either. This was also a really expensive bronzer at $38, I believe, so I was really bummed about this. Not yet ready to declutter it. I'm going to keep trying it. I like feel like sometimes I think that this is matte, and then other times I put this on and it looks like it almost has a bit of a sheen to it. I'm going to keep trying this at least through this summer and see if maybe I can get it to work, or maybe I change my mind about this. But I feel like there's better bronzers out there at a far cheaper cost, even for like similar brands to this. Like $38 is really expensive for a bronzer. I don't think you need this one. Okay, I put my cup away because I feel like my camera just always wants to focus on my cup and not my beautiful face, which is really rude. I'm kidding. I am kidding. Okay, so speaking of face powders, and now this next product, I didn't even, like, it wasn't even on my radar, and then I saw it in Ulta, and I'm not gonna lie, I did buy this one just for the packaging, so it wasn't like I was expecting a ton out of the product inside. But let me tell you, the product inside is so incredibly bad. I would be embarrassed as the brand kind of to have released this, minus the cute packaging. So it's this one from MAC, and you can no longer get this. This was limited edition, thank goodness, otherwise I probably would have discontinued this really fast if I was them. So it is just 6 face powders, mostly highlights, some bronzer toppers, and like a blush topper shade. These are so dry and chalky, and like it almost looks like a matte shade when it's supposed to be a highlight. Like you could use it, I suppose, as like a really subtle highlight, but it also is going to emphasize texture just because it's so dry and chalky. I feel like MAC has really been struggling, in my opinion, or I've just heard a lot of negative feedback specifically about their face powders. So it might be time for them to... I just feel like they've released some face powders within the last couple years that just have not been very good, and this was no exception. Okay, and then last but not least, I have 3 eye products and 1 lip product to talk about. So up first, I have this eyeshadow palette. This is from Urban Decay. This is the Naked Reloaded. I thought I was gonna love this. I do like neutrals. This is like the perfect palette for me for an everyday wear to work look, and I think it's fine for that. But the reason that this was disappointing is I just thought that the whole palette was gonna be like nice, and there's just some really like dud shades. Like for example, Angel Fire is super chunky and just not a great shade in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, there are some shades in here that I really do love and enjoy. I really like Bucked, I really like Reputation, and I really like Burn. But outside of like those 3 shades, it's just like a meh palette. And for some reason I thought that this was just going to become a new staple. I thought that this was going to be my everyday, I'm wearing this palette to work, and it just did not become that. I think that this is overpriced for what it is. I did see that this is coming out in the 21 Days of Beauty for Ulta at half off. I still don't even know if I would recommend it at half off. I just feel like you definitely probably have this palette amongst other palettes, and it's really hit or miss as far as formula is concerned. So this one would be a skip for me. I mean, I continue to hold on to this one because the mattes are fine, and this really is a really good palette for work appropriate looks, but I was expecting to love this one a lot more than I ended up loving it, because I didn't love it at all. Next up, I don't know if I've ever talked about this product on my channel. So this is one of the Melt stacks, and I purchased this like years ago. Like this is probably at least 2016. I don't know if they still have this available. I'm also missing one of my shades because it like fell, and so I have the pan in a single, like in a Z palette, but it was this purple one, and it was pretty, but I just felt like the mattes were very difficult to blend. I just felt like they took a lot of effort, a lot of work. They were a bit chalky. It takes me like 45 minutes to do a look when I'm using this. I don't really know why I still keep this around. Probably because I spent so much money on this. This is the only Melt smokestack, or not smokestack, Melt stack that I've tried. I think they are re-releasing, or their like really popular one, the Rust stack, is coming back in stock. It's not worth it for the packaging, the bulky packaging, in my opinion. Like, it's a cool, innovative concept, but I just wasn't impressed. Even the shimmer in this, I felt like it took a lot of building and it kind of made my eyes look a little bit older just because you had to layer on so much product to get any sort of anything from it. And even with a wet brush, I didn't feel like it worked that well. So the melt stacks were, or this one specifically, was a bust for me. Okay, and then next I have this guy from Dose of Colors. This is the Block Party eyeshadow, specifically in Leave Me Alone. I do have another Block Party eyeshadow in Shall We Dance, which I think works a lot better than this one, but these are really expensive at $20 for a single eyeshadow. And while I love Dose of Colors as a brand, I just really don't think it's worth the price tag. So this is how this one swatches. And the swatches, I remember the swatches online of these looked so beautiful, but on the eyes this just looks basically like a chalky black shadow. This is supposed to be like a, I don't know if, see, like in the pan it looks beautiful, like it's supposed to be this beautiful green shimmery perfection. On the eyes it just doesn't translate, and swatched it doesn't either. So I never reach for this. I don't know why I keep this around, probably because it's just like such a letdown, but I would not recommend the Block Party single shadows from Dose of Colors at all. I think they're incredibly overpriced. Even for like $10, I feel like this really isn't worth it. Sorry, Dose of Colors. And then the last product that was pretty disappointing for me, because I take my lip balms very seriously in this household. This is the Fenty Pro Kisser Luscious Lip Balm. So this is like, it's almost like a lip gloss. My cap is like broken. I've used the crap out of this. So you put it on and it makes your lips look pretty glossy. Like, I like the effect that it gives to the lips. But this dries your lips out, and it's supposedly a lip balm. It says in the packaging, in the name, Luscious Lip Balm. I think it's luscious, but just call it a lip gloss or something else, because this is not a lip balm, and it's going to steer people in the direction of the belief that this may be good for their lips if they're looking to hydrate them, because that's what I thought. And this dries my lips out. Every time I wear this, my lips are dried out, and I swear it takes me days to get them back to some sort of not raisiny looking situation. So I don't appreciate that. What a bummer. There's so many good lip balms out there. I highly recommend, if you're looking for like a glossy lip balm, I would highly recommend the Kopari Lip Glossy. That is probably my favorite lip balm that's sort of like a gloss. I also really liked the ColourPop Lip Glossy lip balm gloss thing. I can't remember what it's called, but that's also really good, and that is $8, whereas the Kopari Lip Glossy, I think is what it's called, is $13. This was $17 or $18. Skip this one altogether. You don't need this. This is not a good product in my opinion if you are looking for something that's going to hydrate the lips. This is going to give you a nice glossy look. It's not sticky by any means, but it dries the lips out. No more needs to be said. Anyway, you guys, those are 10 of my current disappointing makeup products. I would love to hear from you guys in the comments down below about some makeup products that you found to be disappointing. Which products do I need to skip? I have a really bad spending problem, so let me know what I should absolutely skip. And other than that, thank you so much for sticking around to watch today's video and supporting my channel, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye.